Hello everyone, I'm Christopher Dorber, and you might know me as Wagger because I've got my YouTube channel going on. I've got several videos on there relating to window cleaning, but for this video it's all about a book I've written. It's an autobiography, so it's all about me, but I've recently completed it and it's taken me about a year to do. I never thought I'd actually write a book. It's quite amazing even to me, but the reason I wrote it is because I wanted to give people the benefit of all the experiences I've had, and it's not just about window cleaning, because I've been into all sorts of things in my life before I became a window cleaner and leading up to it. For instance, in Singapore, because my dad was in the RAF, we lived there for 2.5 years, and the book kicks off at the beginning where I'm a child, about 8 years old, and I befriended this stray dog, and there was no health and safety in Singapore at all in those days, which was pretty exciting, and there was people wandering around with rifles and all sorts of things at the time, and this poor stray dog I'd befriended, he must have been tracking it, this Chinese guy, because he came up to me and he waved me away, and then he shot the dog right there in front of me, and that was really quite traumatizing. After this we moved to several RAF bases, and then I went to a training ship called Indefatigable. What my father didn't realise was that it was more of an approved school, or borstal if you like, and the discipline was really harsh. You weren't allowed to speak at meal times, and I'd seen boys hit with cricket bats and all sorts of things, so it was a pretty harsh time. It was almost Dickensian if you like. After that I joined the Merchant Navy as a deck boy, and I served on 4 ships and travelled the world. I got up to all sorts of things, as you can imagine. Went through the Panama Canal 4 times and travelled the world. I got fed up with this and became a psychiatric nurse, believe it or not, because my mother was a nurse, and that's very, very interesting. There's a lot to learn from psychiatry and psychiatric hospitals. There's all sorts of characters in those places. Then I got fed up of that. I couldn't stick at anything really, and I joined the Royal Navy as a radio operator. And I passed the course, fair enough. That's where I learned to type, which came in really useful for doing this book. And after a while I really didn't like being a radio operator, so I took the opportunity to volunteer for Royal Navy Air Crew. Now this is a very, very high powered course, which somehow I managed to get through, but I was way out of my depth and I should never have been there, as you'll find out in the book. I was actually a missile aimer, and firing the missiles alone was a real eye-opener. Caught the tail end of the Vietnam War. We were actually part of a task group where they were sending in helicopters. It was the biggest helicopter rescue in history, and everyone was supposed to go in and rescue the people from the embassies, but fortunately we were never sent in. So that was interesting in itself. After a while I became a naval policeman, and of course that has its own interests, and that was really good. That's when the Falklands War kicks off. I got out of going down actually to join the action because I was shore based, but one of my jobs at this time was to go around to some of the relatives that had lost loved ones down in the Falklands, and I'd take them invitations and things like that. So that was again a little bit traumatic. And then I left the Navy and we lived in Malta, my wife and I. That was incredible to do. I couldn't work for a start. I was trying to live off my small naval pension, but very often we didn't even have enough food. And then when we returned to the UK, that's when I became a window cleaner, and that a lot of fun started there as well. So if you want a cracking read, it's full of farce, it's full of humour, full of fun, then have a look at my book. It's called Running for Home, and if you manage to read it, if you want, then you'll realise why it's called Running for Home. You can download it on a Kindle, or in this case I've got my own copy on the computer here. Look out for special offers, etc. But right after this video, if you're interested, just click on the link that's take you straight to Amazon, and you can read the first few chapters for free, including the incident where my dog was shot. So there you go. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. Job done.